On today's episode of The Intangibles, we'll be kicking things off as always with the play of the game. At 9:13, we'll choose the Hottie of the week and the little bitch of the day. At 23:07, we'll break down the US Disc Golf Championship. And finally, at 37:18, we'll play Birdie, Bogey, or Par.
All right, everybody. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. All right, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of the Drop Zone, of the Drop Tangibles, of the in Drop Zone. I don't know what we are anymore. We have a bit of an identity crisis. But,
the Intangizone.
But we are back. Myself, Matt, and my wonderful co-host, Kenny.
Hello.
With some new juicy content for you. So, without further ado, I think let's just get right into it. We're going to start things off, as always, with the play of the game.
Poke chat, poke chat, poke chat, poke chat.
Kenny, why don't you hit me?
All right. I've got a good Matt Webb play of the game, as in very abstract.
Oh, and also somehow giving credit to yourself for something?
No. So that would be the ultimate. This is more just what you like to do of the abstract concept.
I give it a bogey already.
I'm giving the play of the game to fucking the haters. So,
okay.
Fuck the haters. That's the play of the game. And I'm allergic to the haters. In particular, this was inspired by some recent incredible gaming news that I learned about recently. Are you familiar at all with ChainChompBraden and the Trials of Death?
No, not at all. Not even one iota.
Not even one word of what you've said. Okay, So let's back up here. Are you familiar with Mario Maker?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Mario Maker.
So for those who don't know what it is, it's very simple. It's a game where you can design your own Mario levels using any assets and even bonus assets from all the different Mario games. The platformers in particular, the 2D platformers. Make your own Mario levels, upload them, and then other people can play them.
And you can make like next to impossible levels, basically. Like you have to be perfect to execute some of these levels.
That's correct. And the Trials of Death is a Mario Maker level, which is arguably the hardest of all Mario Maker levels. And this
did we watch? Oh shoot, I can't think of the YouTuber's name.
Donkey?
Yes, did we watch him play this particular level?
We did not.
Okay.
So we did watch Donkey play some incredibly hard Mario Maker levels. And I will say that the Trials of Death make that look like child's play. That makes that look like a baby game for babies.
Perfect.
So this guy has been working on designing and beating, because you have to beat the level to upload it. He's been working on it for 7 years. He has put in 2,800 hours of attempts that he is upload attempts, and an additional 1,500 hours of practice. And this culminated this month, October 8th, in one virtually perfect run where he actually finished the thing.
Wow.
And he made a 40-minute video chronicling the entire attempt. And the thing that I loved the most was during the video, he's cutting constantly to people commenting on his YouTube videos saying, give up, kill yourself, you're never going to do it.
Sure.
And he's just, he kept all these receipts for 7 years of people commenting these things so that they could then show up in his video where he did it and look like idiots. And I just have to applaud that level of spite against the haters. Like, what this person must feel better. Like, what a feeling to have. A, to do it, and B, to be able to just rub it in everyone's face who ever doubted you.
Sounds like he's going to get an invite to the Player Haters Ball.
Yeah, definitely.
That's 179 days worth of of attempts at a Mario level
without sleep, eating, or drinking. Yeah,
and I'm curious what the longest number of days that I've attempted any video game thing at is. Like, I wonder how much it pales in comparison to that.
Well, I was just talking about it with Troy, and it's like the feeling like, remember when you and I were playing against the watchdog of the Old Lords?
Fuck that guy. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
In the Cursed Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne. And we spent, 2 weeks, basically, of...
Hits you with one of his little butt hairs, and he kills you.
Yeah, nightly, every other night, playing for multiple hours to finally beat that thing. Yeah. And when we finally did it, it was, the joy I felt was so immense. So to do this after 7 years, can you imagine? Forgiveness.
That's pretty incredible. It's funny. So your play of the game revolves around Mario, and mine actually does too.
Whoa.
Yeah, very strange.
To Chris Pratt, play of the game.
No. I'm not going to pass judgment on that at this point in time. I really don't have strong feelings on it either way. But, so Veronica and I have been playing the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the Switch, which is a multiplayer platform game. So it's very similar to your traditional Mario worlds. You go through some different worlds. There's levels. You got to beat castles. And when you play with two people, I mean, you've played with more than one person in these kind of games, things can get a little bit funky on the screen sometimes. There's certain areas where you got to move quickly, where a lot's happening, and shit can go wrong. And I'm giving the play of the game to my wife, Veronica, as player 2 in the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for unintentionally sacrificing herself to allow me to survive and continue and beat levels. So there's a few instances one night when we were playing where shit was going, we're trying to get through some moving parts on the screen, and we're both jumping, and I basically jumped off of her head, propelling her into the depths.
Treating her as your Yoshi, effectively.
Yeah, more or less. Launching myself to safety, getting her to come back, after she died, so now we got 2 players again. Really, she made it possible for us to continue and to beat those levels. So that is who my play of the game nominee is.
That sounds like such corporate doublespeak. Unintentionally sacrificing, aka I killed you to propel myself forward.
I've been in industry for about 12 years now, so I've learned quite a bit from that time. I can craft a pretty mean email.
We respect the unintentional sacrifices of all the victims.
Yeah.
You will not be forgotten.
So that's great. Well, please, everyone, go vote for your chosen Mario-themed play of the game.
I am dedicated to actually putting up votes now. I have an image that I'm making that will highlight both of our nominations, and I will actually put up a poll, and even if just a few people vote, that will be the decider. And we can actually find out next time who won.
I love that. Can we have them be continued running totals to see if, in a year from now, we've got more viewers and all of a sudden it's flip-flopped, Maybe we'll have some weird stuff in a future episode we can talk about.
See, this is a great thing for when we do have listeners to keep track of these stats for us, because I'm going to be too lazy to do that. So in a few years, when we break the 100,000 subscriber mark, then some noble hero can get their own play of the game by giving us the all-time stats.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Hopefully a guy named Leonard Peebley will be the one.
That would be insane.
Yeah, and then we can put him right into the show. Yeah, put him right into the show. He's got a segment ready to rock.
He could be our producer at that point. Leonard, what do we got up next?
I love it. All right. Well, moving forward, in a continuance of last week's kind of starting of some new segments, we are going to talk about our hotties and little bitches of the week.
/day.
Yeah, so I'll let you go first, and I'll even let you select if you would rather start with your hottie or your little bitch.
I am going to start with my hottie of the week.
Mm-hmm.
My hottie of the week is Matt Schlabach.
Ooh, thought you were going to say me for a second. Got very excited.
You're my hottie of my life, man.
Oh my gosh.
So I can't give it to you, unfortunately.
Gotta make sure we keep this recording.
Yeah, but Matt Schlabach, do you know this name? I only learned about it this week.
I do not.
This is disc golf related, of course. And this was Gannon Buhr's caddy.
Oh, okay. Yep, I'm with you now.
So you do know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So avert your ears if you are allergic to spoilers for USDGC, but presumably you're here because you want to hear about that. Gannon Buhr won. He is the U.S. disc golf champion, and his caddy was Matt Schlabach. And I was watching the entire time, and there's lots of shots of the two of them, Gannon and Matt, talking with each other, walking by each other. And I got such vibes of Ned and Peter Parker from the MCU Spider-Man movies.
I mean, Matt looks kind of like Ned, too.
He does.
To be honest. So.
And then Gannon looks like Peter Parker if you stretched him out.
Yeah, if you put him in one of those medieval stretchers for a little while, yep.
Right. If you Mike TV'd him, you would get Gannon Buhr. So that was already pretty entertaining. And then after Gannon won, Matt goes over there and picks him. He's much shorter than him, but picks him up in a big hug. It seemed like he was a real MVP. And then I was looking him up afterwards, and I've actually seen him a bunch this season, not realizing it. He wears a shirt, and I don't know exactly what it says, but it says something like, Matt was here, or this guy's Matt.
It says what he says in his YouTube videos when he starts them. It's like, hey, it's Matt here, or something like that.
Right.
So he literally just writes that same exact phrase that he...
Hey, guys, it's Matt.
Yeah, something like that, exactly.
But yeah, I looked him up. He owns a disc golf store in Des Moines, Iowa called Titan Discs. He hosts events all the time. He seems to be just a super awesome guy. And he was Gannon's caddy and has been, I guess, quite often this season. So, and he traveled from Des Moines to Carolina for it just awesome. Great. Love it. Hottie of the week.
He's another Iowa native, and that's where Gannon is from. So I'm assuming that's how they met each other. Yeah. And you absolutely get the vibe, the energy from the two of them that they're friends. He's out there, he's genuinely helping Gannon in that way and being there. So I love it. I actually thought about that myself.
Nice,
but I didn't go that route, thankfully, because that would have been lame for a recording. I chose for my hottie of the weekend, really. I picked Paul McBeth.
Interesting.
And here's why. So Paul ended up on the lead car on the final day, but he really wasn't in it at the end of the round. On the very last hole, technically Paul was out. I don't know if you noticed this, or was closer than Gannon, but he putted out first, and there was actually an interaction that you can see where he basically tells Gannon I want to put my putt in so that if you win, you can celebrate right away. It is the thing. You move forward. It's yours, which I think is a really nice pro move from a guy who's been there. And then after the tournament, he put up a really nice post to the effect of battling with Gannon and Niklas, who are both pretty young guys. Gannon's 17, Niklas is 21, I believe. Basically saying these guys are battled it out and they're going to keep doing this for a long time. He gave a big shout out to Calvin, who was on the card too. He gave a shout out to his caddy, who was from the European Open, that he brought over to caddy for this event. So I feel like he really just did a good job of being a professional in that space and giving respect to his other competitors and giving them the respect that they deserve. So go Paul, you're my hottie this week.
Nice guy, Paul. Yeah, I mean, we the one time we've talked about him in detail, I feel kind of weird about it because we talked about him, his bad take about the whole Nico situation. And meanwhile, we both, I think, I'll speak for myself, but I think you'll agree, we really like Paul McBeth and like him as a player, and as a guy. And even that episode where we talked about his bad take on Nico, he's just such an ambassador for the players in the sport, and I think it is borne out in what you're describing here, where he's like, here are the future, these guys are the future of the game. I'm going to step aside and just let them have their moment and not get in the way of this awesome thing that's happening.
Yep, I agree with all of that wholeheartedly. I do think it's funny that that's all we've really talked about, like, in depth with Paul previously. I do, like, again, like, as a professional in the sport, I respect him. I think he's a good image and a good, representation of
he's a great guy to have at the top of the sport.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, shall we move on to little bitch of the day?
No, let's hear your little bitch.
Yeah, you dumb bitch. You lose.
All right, little bitch of the day goes to Kenny Webb.
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear why.
All right, so let me give the full story here on what I was contemplating for little bitch of the day. I was going to cheekily give it to Simon Lizotte again for back-to-back weeks. Because I don't know if you watched, he posted a vlog video about his USDGC experience.
Mm-mm.
So definitely go check it out. It's his most recent video, time of recording, October 12th. And it was actually kind of cool because most of his blogs are like practice rounds or like real life stuff. Mm-hmm. And this one, he had his caddy take a bunch of footage while he was playing in the event and posted. So it was like a personal cam on Simon during his round, which was pretty cool and interesting and a very unique look at someone playing the game. But Simon did not have a very good showing at USDGC. I think he finished 57th out of like 90-some players, so very middle of the pack, not up to his usual standards. And if you watch it, he's a little bit of a whiner on his channel because of his struggles. And he's whining about not making his putts, and he's whining about like, oh man, I put in all this time, and then you have these tournaments where it doesn't work out. And I was like, dude, you just won at Maple Hill. Why don't you take a chill pill? But that made me realize the thing I was getting irritated about was exactly what I did this weekend when you and I played, and I was having a bad round and consistently bad putting, and I was being a little whiner. So I want to turn the spotlight to me, not Simon, because Simon was good enough to still post that and make a video out of it and give us this cool behind-the-scenes look. And I think I was the little whiner, so I get little bitch of the day.
Wow. All right. Well, I don't even think I need to give mine. I think we can award it to you. That's not how this segment works. Come on. I'll have to check that out. So was he complaining during his round, or was this his commentary on top of it afterwards?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, He was mostly, as you'd expect, during a round, just kind of in his own head and
frustrated,
trying to get in the zone a little bit. And then afterwards, he was like at whatever cabin or Airbnb. He was like, "I'm just going to drink some beers and go fishing afterwards," which, great play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like just complaining about, and I get it. Like it sucks to like put in all this work and you have those off times. Like I feel that even from my own extremely amateur position of like you practice and practice and practice, and then you go out and play with your friends and just shit the bed, and it's like, well, what am I even doing?
Yep. Yeah. Well, and that's what was the guy's name from your play of the game? That's what separates the cream from the rest, right? They
right.
Continue on in spite of it.
Yeah. Persevere.
That's right. Persevere for 180 more days and you'll be fine. Nice. All right. Well, I don't feel comfortable calling you. No, I feel fine calling you a little bitch. That's okay. Yeah. My little bitch of the week is actually Nico Locastro.
Nice.
So funny that we mentioned Paul in that light too. So Nico's suspension was recently reduced, which effectively made it a suspension for this season only. It didn't impact any events next season by reducing it.
Right. They took it from 9 months to 6 months effectively.
Yep, exactly. So it's not going to leak into the first few events of next year. He can start fresh next year. Woohoo for Nico. But the reason I'm giving... Oh,
I was going to say, just to clarify, they extended the suspension, so the total...
They extended the probation, yes.
Right. Sorry,
Yep.
the probation.
Yep.
So the total punishment is the same length. Which...
Yep, and I totally, when I saw that thing come out, I was like, okay, seems reasonable enough. Didn't really think twice about it.
Yep.
In reading about the USDGC this weekend, there were several different accounts, and please, everyone, keep in mind that this is just me reading other people's comments about things that they witnessed or were part of. Who knows? Like, I haven't met Nico myself, and I will, I guess, reserve ultimate judgment for if that ever happens. But what I was reading essentially is that he was a turd, as you can imagine. You know, he's there in the gallery making jokes about how he should be out there, calling time violations on people, just generally being kind of bitter about the whole...
In Winthrop?
Yes, at the tournament. Generally being just kind of bitter about the whole situation, which is not surprising to me at all. Is exactly what I would have thought without this bit of evidence, but really gets to me a little bit in the fact that he is like, he has the gall to just go there and do that in this position. So I am giving Nico Castro my little bitch of this week, and who knows, maybe all of the weeks in the year, for just continuing to be a little fucker who doesn't really take responsibility for his actions and does not like take any accountability for what he's done.
I was going to say, to add on top of that, your nomination, there was the announcement that they were reducing the suspension from 9 months to 6 months, and he made a statement where he basically said he didn't address what he did at all, and it was the whole narrative was about, I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to prove what I can do and blah blah blah. Like, still just no public acknowledgement of anything that he has done is wrong. Which, maybe this is a topic for a future episode. Some athletes like leaning into being the villain, and maybe that's what he's doing. Or maybe he's just a real turd of a person. I don't know.
I don't even think he thinks like what he's saying and doing makes him to be a villain. I think from his perspective, it makes him out to be this guy who's,
fighting
rising
against the odds.
Yeah, exactly. Which is just so like blind to what is actually going on.
The obstacles you're throwing in front of yourself.
It's like exactly.
You know that meme of the guy riding a bike and he shoves a stick in between the spokes and he's like,
I've not seen that.
Why would they do this to me? That's Nico Lacastro is riding his bike, shoving the spoke in, and it's like, I'm going to rise above these obstacles.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Well, I'll always be behind a Nico Lacastro nomination for this, I imagine.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll get him on for an interview and we can talk to him.
I can't wait.
Man to man to man. But until then, you're a little bitch, Nico. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Oh, let's break it down! Why are you so angry?
And we're back. All right, welcome to the USDGC highlight discussion. I don't know what else to call this. I mean, you and I have not been able to watch the full rounds, unfortunately, at this point.
I think recap is a good way to say it.
All right, I'm going to lean on you for said recap, and
okay.
I'm going to provide color commentary on top of it because, like I said, I have not watched full rounds. I've watched some highlights. I do have some notes and things to say.
Okay.
But yeah, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, happily. So this is Rock Hill, South Carolina, the U.S. Disc Golf Championship. So this is basically the MPO USDGC. The women's U.S. Disc Golf Championship happened earlier this year, and I really like the decision to have them separated like that because it does turn more eyes onto the women's, the FPO championship, which I think is a very good thing. If both were happening at the same time, it might not get the same. It wouldn't get the same attention. So I like that, first of all. So this is just the mixed and effectively the men's USDGC. This is happening at Winthrop, which I guess, again, keep in mind, this is my first year watching all these events, so I'm learning about all this stuff. And I guess Winthrop is kind of an infamous course. It's like a storied course that has changes every year, as all these courses do, but not very many. It stays pretty consistent. And it seems like this year the big changes were a bunch of rocks added to like mark out of bounds positions.
There was that. They have some other kind of man-made obstacles. Like if you notice, there were like trees-looking things with spider webs on them. Those were actually put in place as additional things too.
Right.
And then there were a couple other changes too to the layout.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where they combined previous like holes 3 and 4 into one big hole, and they brought back a different par 3 that was like this tunnel shot through trees that wasn't there the last time they played there. But like you said, overall the course is consistent and is like an icon in the disc golf community.
There's some things I really love, like novel ways to make holes really interesting. So there's the bamboo hole. So they have a few holes with very artificial like gates that you have to go through, which are really cool to look at and make for some really cool shots and like things that you wouldn't get any other way. As I wrote down just a question, what do we think of the course? I'm very high on it. I really enjoyed watching people play this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, and I think that's why it is one of the iconic courses, because it is. So it's got some similarities to some of the other ones we like. There's definitely trees, like there's definitely woods, but it's not just through the woods by any means.
Right.
There's, like you said, a lot of use of obstacles and mandos that are kind of cool. There's the triple mando bamboo gate, like you said. There's several holes where they just put the basket basically near water. So you have a chance to kind of run it up to the basket, but if you go long or if you have an errant shot, you can easily end up in the water. So I think they use the natural landscape really well on this course.
They have the iconic hole right on the water's edge, which they line with hay bales. It's an island green that you need to land on, and those bales make it so that you can't skid up to it. You have to actually stick the island, which was pretty neat. And the basket is very, very close to those hay bales. So you get very cool ace runs, but it's risky. And even when you land it, coming back, you can go over the hay bales the other way. So it's just a very novel, interesting course. And it felt like a good mix of all kinds of different shots. So it was very fun to watch.
Yep.
And speaking of which, ace runs. So many aces this weekend. There were a total of 10 aces between the USDGC and the women's event, which was
Throw Pink.
Yes, Throw Pink. I almost said Think Pink, which was incorrect. But yeah, tons of aces. Hole 10, I believe, was the eagle hole, where there were tons and tons of eagles. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make some kind of change to that. But I kind of love that hole because it's such a difference maker. You have eagle looks, but if you go for it and miss, you're easily looking at a bogey. Mm-hmm. So I think that was actually kind of cool. Overall.
I thought it was really fair. Yeah, like there was a lot of people who went for the eagle, but there is a big downside to it. I mean, Calvin Heimberg in the final round went OB twice on that hole, and it just totally fucked his round. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people who made it. There were plenty of people who didn't. I thought it was cool to have that. Like there are people who are literally parking it right next to the pole, and that's how. It's cool to have that eagle opportunity where almost everybody has the power to get there, but it takes a really, really skilled shot to put it there.
And the cojones for it.
Definitely.
So, going into the final round, we've got the Finn, Niklas Antala, at minus 21. Calvin Heimberg, minus 22. Paul Macbeth, as you mentioned, minus 21. And Gannon Burr, minus 21. And then next on the chase card, 5th position, Kyle Klein at minus 16. So unless something goes crazy with the lead card, it's these people are the ones who are playing for it. And that is what eventually happened. And as the round goes on, you alluded to this, it just becomes a race between Niklas and Gannon.
Yeah, and from what I saw, I mean, Gannon's putter was on fire. He was
insane.
All sorts of putts.
He missed one putt in the final round.
Did he? Okay, that's a crazy statistic. And he obviously is putting the pressure on Niklas by doing that. And Niklas missed some kind of crucial putts late in the round that were really the big difference maker at the end of the day.
For sure. I mean, eventually, I think it was hole 13, Burr went out of bounds on his second shot. Gannon did. And it was like he had to go around a tree, and so he had a little bit of Anheuser on it, and it just barely goes over the cart path marking out of bounds. And then that was like a double bogey for him. And it's like, well...
It looked bad, yeah. It looked like Niklas would have it from there.
Right, because this is, like I said, there's only 5 holes to go, and now Niklas has a 3-stroke lead. That's a lot of ground to cover. But then immediately afterwards, Niklas throws a drive into some trees. This is like, it's kind of a wide open shot right against you. The tee is right against a college building. Wide open shot. You can throw a big, I saw people going big, swoopy hyzers with backhand. I saw big forehands either way. All kinds of approaches. But he throws it so wide it gets in some trees. And then Burr has a good drive. He lands a massive putt, Gannon does, to get the birdie. And Niklas misses like a 15-footer.
He misses a makeable par putt, right? Pushes him to a bogey.
Right. And so instantly, that lead that I was like, man, this is going to be hard to make up. Birdie, bogey, like you're right back in it. And then, yeah, I mean, like you said, Gannon's putter was completely on fire. He was landing long putts, which were just impressive in general. He had a few, I think 1 or 2 knee putts that he landed, which were just insane. And then it seemed like the nerves were kind of getting to Niklas at that point. A lot of like off the top rim, and then a few where he just whiffed it completely. But it's still like so close going into the final hole. Burr has a 1-stroke lead. He and Niklas both play very solid birdies, like just play a normal hole going into the last one, and Gannon finishes it out. I also want to highlight, you mentioned Calvin on that hole 10, getting that double out of bounds, throwing himself out of contention. On the last hole, he threw an insane monster drive. Like, I love that he put on a show. He's just like, well, I'm out of contention. Let's do something crazy.
Yeah.
And you got to watch it. Go watch those highlights from the last round. Yeah. Because he just smashes it. The cameraman has to whip fully around. And it goes like 100 feet past him. It's crazy.
That's what, listening to Ian and Philo on that coverage, they're like, this is, you only see this in like practice rounds. People don't try to do this in the real rounds. And yeah, apparently I think he was having a good time. Like, he knew he wasn't in it at the end of all that. It was the last hole. I think he asked the crowd to pick which destroyer that he actually threw on that hole. So they got involved, and he threw a crazy drive.
You've mentioned Calvin before. Seems to be, there's a consensus that he's one of the most fun people to have on your card to play with.
Calvin's supposedly just a good guy. He's a smack talker, but a friendly smack talker.
I've seen that in Skins games. He is absolutely merciless.
And I don't think he does that in a professional like tournament round by any means. But like, if you're playing a practice round with him, or you're just hanging out, like, that's the kind of friend that he is. And I enjoy that. It just seems like seeing him interact with the other players too, seeing him interact with Simon at one of the tournaments that Simon won earlier this year. Like, yeah, he just seems like a good guy.
And also, in everybody's practice videos, Calvin's always just like lurking in the background.
It's
like,
true.
Hanging out on their cards.
He comes up, he's like, oh, can I play through you? Like, you guys mind if I...
Just show you up real quick. No, he's great. But, so Gannon wins, the youngest player ever to win the U.S. Disc Golf Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy to see him win.
Yeah.
He's been sort of like right there all season, like very close to winning major events. And what a big one for him to win. It's so cool.
Yeah, I agree completely. He's obviously good. He's obviously, been around the lead cards throughout a lot of the tournaments this year. I think Gannon is young, but he still conducts himself like very well on the course. He has had time issues in the past too. There's a lot of people that report him being a
slow player.
Yep, but unlike Nico, he's not making a stink about it, and he's actually done things to speed that up throughout this year. So there was one particular tournament that took a really long time, and I think he even posted talking about it, talking about working on his pace of play and stuff like that. So he's a good young guy. I'm happy to see him win, and I'm sure we'll see him around at a lot more tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, crazy amount of maturity from a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do anything good at 17.
That's not true. I'm sure you did something. You were better than me.
But, I mean, isn't that crazy, though? Like, imagine being, like, high school aged and playing at a professional level and being able to conduct yourself like this. Like, tennis has this aspect, too, where you get some really young players in there. And I'm super glad he won. His post-championship interview, he was very emotional. Like, it was really good to see. I really like that he won, too, because I think if he didn't, there might be conversations starting about, like, okay, he's the future of disc golf, but when's he actually gonna, like, win? And he's just like, no, put all that to rest. I'm here, and I'm going to be winning more.
Yep. How can you argue with a guy who's had his mom caddy for him for a lot of the year,
Yeah, for real.
No, it's great. Congratulations to you, Gannon Burr. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sorry that you lost Hottie of the Week to your caddy.
Yeah, you know what? He probably would agree with it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else left to say about the USDGC. Do you?
I do not. I'm very excited to get into the next segment.
I'm excited too, Kenny, and I wish I knew how to stream my screen to you. All right. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Birdie, Bogey, or Par. Kenny, don't look at the pictures on the left because you're going to know what we're getting to.
So, real quick here, at the bottom left, there's a... No. At the bottom left, there's a little arrow that can collapse it. There you go. Perfect. Now you're talking.
All right. And we're off. So, just a reminder or a refresher or brand new to anybody who isn't familiar, we're going to do a little segment here called Birdie, Bogey, or Par. And I'm going to present Kenny with some things that are related to who knows what, things that we've done in the past. It might be just complete nonsense, who knows. And Kenny is going to give me his vote for if it deserves a birdie, a bogey, or a par.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So, without further ado, the movie Event Horizon.
Wow. Really starting off strong. Wow. So much to talk about here. So Matt recommended this movie to me about 5 years ago, I want to say at this point. It was kind of a night of like probably playing Overwatch or a Souls game on the couch together, having a few drinks, and you're like, you know what? I watched Event Horizon recently. Pretty good movie. Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne, horror space. You should check it out. And I didn't for a long time, and finally I did watch it with our sister April on our show Watching Movies. It is not good, I will say. So I'm going to give this a bogey.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as like I'm just going to watch a movie and I want it to be good, it's a bogey. As far as like a fun time watching with people.
Still a bogey.
If you like bad movies, this movie is pretty funny. And it has some cool stuff in it. There are some cool ideas. So if you like that, then there's something for you. But as a movie, I'll give it a bogey.
Yeah, no, I kind of assumed that's what you would give. I would really like to have the home stenographer transcript of that conversation where I recommended it to you to fully understand and hear, like, was it a serious, like, oh, it was so good, or was it more of a, oh, I watched this movie, ridiculous, outer space horror, you should watch it sometime. You might like it, like, I don't know what I said.
I think it was more like that last one. It's like, have you ever watched Event Horizon? It's actually... It's not too bad, actually. You should check it out sometime. That was what the recommendation was like. It was not a fully endorsed, wow, great movie, 10 out of 10.
No. I can watch a lot of movies. I can endure a lot of things. No, it's wonderful. I think everybody should check it out at least once. If you want the full review, then you need to check out the Watching Movies podcast. Look for the Event Horizon episode. Give it a listen. You can understand fully everything about the movie, including Sam Neill's flaming flayed dick.
You can watch along with me in April. We have a commentary track that's going to be coming out as well.
That's right, to be released. So things to look forward to. I would give the movie. I'd give it a par.
Nice par.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. You're not saying it's great. You're saying it's worth a look.
I enjoyed it for the ideas behind it. I thought it was a very interesting sci-fi premise.
I agree with that. Again, full thoughts are on the podcast.
We were talking last weekend when we were all together, and afterwards I was reading about other stuff online, and the movie Pandorum came across. I don't know, are you familiar with that at all?
I don't think so, actually.
So it stars Dennis Quaid. It's produced by Paul W.S. Anderson.
This fucking guy.
So it's good. He didn't direct it, so maybe it's better. But it's another like interstellar kind of horror thriller. So I almost texted you in April to say, hey, I've got your next movie. And I held back. All right, on to the next one. Dart Mission was a success. So, just to give a little more background on this, we talked about this last time because the DART mission launched. The results weren't known yet. But the whole idea is that we're launching a big projectile at an even bigger thing and trying to change its orbit, essentially, right? Trying to get an asteroid away from Earth or something similar.
Testing to see if we could launch some projectile to deflect a apocalypse-level asteroid.
Right. So... This program, basically the satellite the size of a vending machine hit Dimorphos, which is about the size of a football stadium, at 14,000 miles per hour. And this was enough to alter its orbit by about 32 minutes, which was very substantial compared to what they expected. They expected anywhere from as little as a minute and a half to as much as 10 minutes. So pretty big change. Yeah.
Interesting. When we discussed it last time, I gave it a par because it was like very impressive. But I said I wish we could apply the same resourcefulness to problems on Earth.
Yep.
As far as the actual results, Birdie.
Good.
Birdie.
It's quantifiable here. I mean, you really can't argue with the data.
Nothing I can say. The only thing that's like a mark against it is that they were so off on how much they thought they could affect the trajectory.
Well, these scientists are putting safety factors on shit. They don't want to be embarrassed when it comes back at
that's
half a minute or something.
Right.
So
we think it's going to be 30 minutes, and then it's like 0.2. So
they did the classic undersell or underpromise, overdeliver.
Low ball. This is like corporate talk episode, I'm realizing.
Exactly. We're synergizing. All right. On to the next one. Ham sliders.
Ooh, man. Huge birdie.
Good birdie.
Easy birdie. So, we had a get-together this weekend. The family all got together. We got some real classic dishes, actually some of my favorites, which the ham sliders recipe, which I got from our sister Samantha. who's been on the Watching Movies podcast. The crock pot ravioli recipe, also a Samantha recipe, amazing. And then a new one that I hadn't have, which was a vegetarian potato soup crock pot recipe from April. All bangers across the board. These are all classic examples of my favorite dishes. Minimal effort, minimal ingredients, maximum delicious. Ham sliders are a huge win.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Ham sliders are great. I could make a pan and eat them all at once.
Definitely.
I'll probably do that someday. Who knows?
There was one, like, the classic last bit. There's one last ham slider in the tray. I wanted to eat it so bad, but it's like, somebody will want this. I don't want to take it from them.
Somebody will finish this. Yeah. No, they go quick.
Ooh, can I give a quick follow-up? My own impromptu birdie, bogey, or par.
Please.
Poppy seeds. Slash sesame seeds on burgers.
I'll give them a... Man. Honestly, poppy seeds, I think I'd give a bogey. Sesame seeds, I think I'd give a par. Poppy seeds just, like, fall and get all over the place and get in your teeth and shit. They don't add anything, in my opinion. Sesame seeds also don't really add anything, but they don't get all over the place typically, so I can deal with that.
They're totally neutral. I give them both bogeys.
Yeah.
I think they're absolutely pointless. No flavor component. I don't know.
So that's like when I make everything bagels, you get the everything seasoning and it's got sesame seeds and poppy seeds in it. But those are the things you don't need. Like it's the garlic and the onion and the salt. Like there's actual good flavors that are in that are more important than these seeds. I'm sure there's good stuff that our body gets from those seeds. But
I'm not.
Fuck that.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. All right. On to the next one. This spectator at the USDGC who had a shirt. It was a white T-shirt with a black Sharpie written on it that said, "Paul Macbeth is my dad."
I'm going to give this a birdie.
Good birdie.
Had you seen this previously?
I saw this in the highlights coverage. Definite birdie, I think. I love the effort. I love because he could have got this printed and it would have been less interesting. I love that he wrote it in Sharpie. I love that he got coverage for it. I think Philo is making a joke about Maury doing a test about the parentage here. So all in all, this is like the perfect fan cam interaction. So this is a birdie for me.
I totally agree. Paul had to have seen this while he was playing.
Yeah, definitely.
This guy's not being obnoxious or anything. He's just standing there wearing this shirt. Like I find it hilarious. I want to see more of this kind of action. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I disagree with Shooter McGavin. I want to see a little bit more rock concert energy.
We talked about it earlier. The Super Mario Bros. Movie starring Chris Pratt.
I'm going to give this a bogey.
I have to give... Just the idea of a Super Mario Bros. Movie in general is a bogey for me.
I mean, the idea of most movies in general. I have April and I host a show called Watching Movies, and I am the eternal critic, skeptic, doubter, hater, even though I said fucking the haters was my play of the game. But then I also said I'm the little bitch of the day, so it's kind of like, fuck me, I guess.
It actually explains a lot about the opinion about Event Horizon, that you're just a perpetual hater. It's not that the movie's bad, everybody. It's Kenny is...
I hate good things.
He's predisposed to hate.
It's kind of true, I guess. Yeah, I mean, the only good thing coming out of this Super Mario's movie is more love for Jack Black, who's just a saint.
He's going to be Bowser, right?
Yeah, he is.
He's going to rock that. He's going to.
People are already very much in love with Jack Black as Bowser, which, I don't know, I think he gets used inappropriately sometimes. This seems like a perfect role for Jack Black, I think.
I think this, especially if it's something that he saw and wanted to do, I think it'll be great. I do think that Jack Black has some pretty serious dramatic chops when it comes down to it too. He's done some movies and things where he's still funny, but he's an actual person. He's not just an over the top character.
Yeah. I love School of Rock. I think
it's great.
It's an A+ movie. It's a better Tenacious D movie than the Tenacious D movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, Tenacious D movie is basically just like a stoner movie when it comes down to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, Mario movie, it's going to be bad. Chris Pratt, of course, is awful.
Yeah, yeah. All right. That's all Mama had to say about that one. Hans Niemann controversy. Are you familiar with this? I can tell by your laughter that you are.
Anal beads, right?
Yeah, we should enlighten the audience about this. So, there's an up-and-coming chess master who is on the hot seat. I think
Literally.
I think the other guy's name is it Magnus Carlsen? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Who is a renowned chef master, has basically accused this guy of cheating in a recent chess match. Not like really directly. He's not willing to go that far for slander.
A little oblique about it.
Yeah, but it's very clear that he's suspicious of this guy and doesn't want to play against this guy right now. There's so chess.com released a big report recently. I don't know if you saw this, where they basically said like something like 100 games or more of his had moves in them that like they would have predicted as cheating with a computer, like a computer chess rival. And so the general
Hans admitted to cheating.
He did in a few matches, prior to this.
Right.
But people online have been theorizing about how could you possibly cheat in a live chess match, and so the biggest
sitting at a table,
right? And there's people, they're watching you, like you can't look at your phone, you can't get on a computer. So the big online theory right now is that he has some sort of butt plug that you could send Morse code or something similar to send him the next move that he should do based on the current board state.
Right. So some sort of vibrating digital anal bead technology.
It's poking him in there, giving him the signal, telling him to go knight to d4, whatever it is.
So I'm trying to give Birdie, Bogey, or par to the controversy.
That's what I would like you to give Birdie, Bogey, or Jesus Christ, Birdie, Bogey, or par.
Birdie. I think it's so fucking funny. I want all of my controversies in life, in the news, to be like this one, where it's just a barrel of monkeys, a gaggle, a laugh a minute. This is what I want. The news that gets put on TMZ and the Daily Mail. This is what I want. I think this is the best version of controversy. So, Birdie.
It's
easy Birdie.
It's like mostly inconsequential, ridiculous, like what possibly could have happened here. Totally. I totally agree. When I first read this, the very first time I saw it, I was like, what? And so every time I see any sort of headline or article related to this at all, I dig into it, and I've been enjoying watching it. So I'm glad you enjoy it too.
I think it's hilarious that it was basically a fan theory. Like, the whole anal beads thing is not from, like, the actual chess community. It's, like, Redditors being like, how would you cheat? And that was the leading theory. And then at his latest tournament, they actually were scanning his asshole, which is even better. I love it.
So, I didn't include this in today's Birdie, Bogey, or par, but there was another obscure sports controversy that you may have heard of, where there's a bass fishing tournament, and these two guys, it's like a team of two tournament, these two guys were stuffing weights in their fish, and so the tournament winner is determined by weight of your catch at the end of it all. So these guys got like busted for stuffing weights in their fish, and there's like hillbillies on the sidelines like threatening to kill them and shit for, cheating in this fishing tournament. Another just great, ridiculous, like, I love that drama. I think that's fun.
I do too. I don't like the death threats necessarily.
No,
the drama and the controversy of it is very funny.
Around bass fishing, yes, exactly. I think that's great. All right.
Amazing.
Trivial Pursuit with the family.
I mean, you know what I'm going to give this. This is an ace.
Hole in one.
This is a clean, no doubt, solid line, laser beam, center of the basket, ace. Trivial Pursuit with the family. Mm-hmm. I know not everybody loves it, but I suspect everybody does actually love it.
And even if they don't love it, they put up with it, and I love them for that.
Yeah, so this is a family tradition at all of our web family get-togethers. From a young age, Trivial Pursuit was played. It's a great party game because you can have giant teams. Everyone can get involved. You can wander in, wander out. You can scream at your family members, which is key to a great family game. It's amazing. We got together this weekend, and we would have played it anyway, but we were celebrating our aunt who passed away this year, and I associate her memory very much with this game. So, yeah, ace.
Yep, 100% agree with everything you said. I was thinking about this a lot after the weekend, especially with Laurel's memorial and everything. So I enjoyed the rounds we played. I'll continue to enjoy it every time we're together. And it's a great time. All right. Yep. I think I've got one last one for you.
Nice.
My final birdie, bogey, or par is Nico Locastro's suspension reduction. How do we feel about it?
Nice. I thought you might include this, so I was already thinking about it. This is a par for me.
Mm-hmm. Nice, par.
This is totally fine. I think punished as far as like you can't play until the end of the year from the European Open is totally fair. I think it's fine to have reduced it a bit so that he can start the next season. And I love the decision to continue the total punishment for the same amount where you're on probation for the same amount of time. So get your act together. That's the most important thing to me. And it makes it so that if he messes up anymore, it'll be the easiest thing in the world for the Disc Golf Pro Tour to be like, sorry, you're gone.
Yep, I agree completely. I think even with like the knowledge of Nico, not really taking any responsibility or anything, like I think this is a good course of action for the tour to take. I think it's it's the high road in a lot of ways, right? Like it's basically saying, like you said, we're still gonna keep our eye on you, and there's still this window where if you mess up, we can make this worse for you, but you can play next year right at the beginning, and just
it's kind of up to you
exactly
what you're going to do with
exactly. Be good, and everything will be fine. If not, then we'll see what happens. So I'll be very interested to see how next year goes and how closely they monitor him. If it's going to be small things that they'll talk to him about, or if it's going to take something big for anything to happen. Yeah,
I'm interested to see if he's going to be like a goody two-shoes. I mean, I optimally would love that. But I just don't see it happening. Yeah, I don't see it happening.
I think he's still going to be a whiner sometimes. I'll be curious on the time violation stuff because, like, it really only happened this year because it was at the European Open. Like, I truly feel that way. So if the U.S. circuit doesn't make some changes and enforce that, then I think he's probably just going to go back to exactly who he was. That's my guess. But you know what? Only time will tell, and we will be here next year, hopefully talking about it for better or worse.
With Nico in person.
Yeah, when we've got the interview. It's actually scheduled for 4/20/2023. Belays it. It's also the due date of my next child, so it's going to be a busy day for me.
Yeah, that's going to be a big time. You can do it in the delivery room.
Oh, man. Well,
great birdie, bogey, or par.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed making it thoroughly. I was obviously painted a lot by our experiences this weekend, but not too much. I wanted to include some other goodies in there, too. So I think this has been great, and I think this will definitely come back again. I have no doubt.
I was going to say, I don't care if anybody else likes it. I think it's great.
I don't know how the people couldn't like it. It's fun. And they're learning about some new stuff. There's some weird things we're talking about here. So
yeah.
All right. Well, dear listeners, thank you as always. It's been a pleasure. And we love you. And we'll talk to you next time.
All that.
And goodbye.
Bye.